Great day, amazing humans. Yes, welcome to Empowering Bites. This is where we keep it short and sweet. But who is the we? Well, the we is me, Nkechi, and
I'm Gabby with 1B. Pleased to be the co-host of these Empowering Bites where we keep it short and sweet.
E to the A to the B to the Y. Mamone! That is Gabby 1B Mamone. Let's go, girl. Let the show begin. Great day, amazing human. Yes, welcome to the next episode of Empowering Bites, where I am joined by my fantabulous, amazing co-host, Gabby Mahoney. I drag it out today.
Thank you very much for the extension of my name. I love it. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
we have an episode. It's so funny because I've been using this concept. Thank you, ChatGPT. I got this from ChatGPT and I shared it at work this week. And I remember my boss first said, "Oh my God, I'm writing that down." And then I shared it in a more of a work context, and then I could see my peers writing it down. So it's actually pretty good. So we want to talk about proximity without purpose. And then as we start to think about how to grow this into a podcast, I think the subtitle then is when it's really indicative that then presence is not just enough, right? Just being near to something doesn't imply that there's value that's being generated, that there's purpose that's being unlocked, right? And so today we're going to really unpack this really powerful and timely concept, because I think with the way the world is on today, like, there's nothing that doesn't constantly remind us that life is short, and you gotta just like take every single opportunity that you have to drive more meaningful purpose and positioning in life. And so think about it. Have you ever been around someone and yet like kind of felt completely unseen or unheard or unsupported? And that could either happen in a boardroom, it can happen with friendships, it can happen in a relationship, it could, but recognizing that just because you have proximity to something or someone doesn't really mean that is actually the same of being connected to it or driving impact from it.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's even big speakers. Let's like say Tony Robbins. I'm not sure
Okay.
if you're aware, but he has a crew. There's an opportunity for someone to volunteer at his events.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people will do it, because they want to be in close proximity.
Mm-hmm.
That purpose, because they
Mm-hmm.
want to learn from him. They
Mm-hmm.
want to be in that
Mm-hmm.
energy. They want to absorb his tips.
Mm-hmm.
That's proximity with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So when we drill down a little bit more, do we exercise that? When we're in proximity to people, does it have purpose or does it not have purpose? So let's explore.
And I think, and it's interesting because if I if I think about it from a corporate setting, right? How many times do we actually spend in meetings where I'm going to say something too, because it's funny, shameless plug. I'm thinking about the event, that Empowered My Skin event lead that's coming up. And I know that as I start to think about like why that event and what I hope that people leave from that event, it's really like, because I spent a good portion of my life in corporate, but it's about helping those that are in attendance when they walk away. Like, you actually need to be so convicted about the problem that you have been, like, your human has been assigned in this world to solve. I truly do believe everyone, because of their talents, gifts, and abilities that are uniquely theirs, and then how they navigate this journey of life and they pick up their experiences as they go along. There's a toolkit that you have. Like, there's only something like that combination of all of those things are uniquely yours. And so when you sit at the table, like, you are sitting at the table, and there's something about who you are at the table that that only you can solve for. And so when you start to think about all these meetings, the main fact that on average people are not kind of doing that work to figure that out, right?
Right.
So think about it. You have all these meetings with all these incredible, amazing humans that have like a plethora of like talent and skill and untapped like just experience that we haven't necessarily tapped into for to drive creativity and innovation and all this and the other. So multiply that by X amount of people in the room. So let's just give the
Mm,
number 10. Okay.
mhm.
And because we don't actually have those discussions, like this is, in my opinion, so applicable. Like I'm trying to throw my mind at this really in this moment, but
Yep.
it's like, yes, all of that talent's at that table, yet they haven't been given purpose. And so that's
Yeah.
why a lot of times we leave these meetings and you're either exhausted, another meeting has to be had, like no decision was made, like
Yeah.
nothing moved forward really,
Yeah.
right? And I'm just like, what would happen if we actually started to look at the encounters that we have? Like when you sit down beside somebody and you're like, I'm not just close to you by happenstance. There
Right.
is a reason why you and I, right?
Yeah.
Like we've had proximity to each other, and one day we decided that we were going to take our giftings and collaborate. And what, 7 seasons later,
Yes.
right?
Years. Yes.
100, what is it? 186 episodes that we've done together, if not,
Amazing.
of pushing out empowering content to help and
Yeah.
inspire, empower, and so this is proximity with purpose. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. And it's because we engage, right? I mean, have
Mhm,
people been in those boardrooms where
mhm,
coworkers are there, they're sharing ideas. Some of them are sharing, some of them aren't, but you're feeling drained, you're not
mhm,
energized, people aren't engaging. What's the purpose, right? You
mhm,
have the
mhm,
proximity, but what's the purpose? And so, let's dive deeper when we take a look at our lives, our relationships, our
mhm,
workplace. How do we have purpose?
mhm.
So let's unpack that. Let's talk about visibility.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think that just because you're at a table, um, and I'm trying to remember the quote. It says, "A seat at the table means nothing if your voice isn't fed." Right? So
Mic drop.
just having a seat at the table, doesn't imply that that you are
Yeah.
there in purpose, right? Yeah. And so the table's proximity, right? Like I think I'm really, really loving this concept now because I think it could be like, it doesn't have to be just to people. It could be to situations, it could be to environments. Um, like I think even this like where we are now, like this the dynamics of the world today,
Yes.
um there's proximity that we have to it.
Yep.
The question is, are we unlocking the 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 sort of the avenues of purpose to help make things better, or to to sort of voice, like voice your opinion. Like that's not a really well thought out thought right there, but you know what I mean? Like, I think it could be proximity to situations, to to circumstances, to
Mhm.
so yes, how are you then using your voice?
Right. And how are you engaging others to use their
That's
voice?
right. That's right.
Because
Mhm.
we have all been at those boardroom tables or
Mhm.
those meetings where some people are a little more outspoken than the others.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
ones that maybe aren't as outspoken are very valuable and they have something to say, but maybe they are neurodivergent, or maybe
Mhm.
they are shy, or maybe
Mhm.
there's different reasons.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so if you're a leader, it's important that we pull from that because that's
Yes.
the it's like, so and so, what are your thoughts? What do you have to say? Engage.
Right. Right.
It's no
Right.
different. You and I have been panel hosts, right?
Mhm.
As a panel host, if you have three people on your panel and two are doing all the talking, the panel host needs to involve the
Yes.
third,
That's right. That's
right?
right.
That's
That's right.
proximity with purpose. Otherwise, you sit on the panel and say nothing.
Well,
What's the point?
otherwise it's diversity. Well, what is it if it's a diversity without inclusion, or representation without activation? What is
Yes, exactly. So I love this topic. Thank you for recommending it. I absolutely love it.
And I think every like well, I think in relationships too, right? Like I think that's the hard one. Like
Yeah.
bully talk about marriages for a minute. Um, you have a husband and wife or whatever, partners, and yeah, they constantly there's so much proximity that they have.
Yeah.
And then what happens to those relationships when there isn't any purpose? And one can argue, I can, I could hazard an opinion
Mhm.
that, that if you were to look at those relationships that aren't working really well, that's exactly what's happening. Is there's proximity, but there isn't like a unified purpose that those two feel that that they're working towards, right? Like, yeah. So
Right.
and I think it could be any relationship, and it's interesting because in our B roll you talked about um letting go of relationships. Remember you were saying, oh my God, and we were saying that I'm pretty sure we've done an episode on that. Well, one would
Mm.
say the same, right? Like if you have all these relationships, and especially the ones that are most proximity to you,
Yes.
take a look at what purpose they have.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, is there growth? Do you feel
Hmm.
peace? Do you feel love? Do you
Hmm.
feel like this is someone that you want in your circle going forward?
What do you
And if
collaborate on? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And if the
Hmm.
answer is no, or you're feeling pressure or it feels heavy, then we have to look at that.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
We get to choose. We
Hmm.
get to choose.
So if we were to like sort of continue on this conversation, and we talk about like, well, we covered corporate, we
Yeah.
covered like family relationships and self. Well, maybe not, maybe self, right? Like how can you apply that concept to self? What do you think?
Yeah. I guess that's it is do an inventory, take a look within yourself and
Hmm.
see, is what I'm doing leading me closer to my goal, leading
Hmm.
me closer to my purpose?
Hmm.
And if the answer is no, we have to question the amount of time that we're investing in there and if that should be shifted towards something else.
Yeah, I was like, as you were saying that, the one thing that came to me, and I don't know, I'm gonna just throw this. Like I said, uh, people, humans listening to this, we are literally like unpacking this on the spot, which is what I
Yes,
love about
live,
this episode.
organic.
What if it's something like we have proximity to the thoughts we have, so about our dreams,
Yeah.
right? Yet but we have not done anything to activate. The activation is it could the activation be the piece that's giving it purpose?
Yeah.
Right, because you have
As
these
long,
dreams, right? So
yeah.
and they come from you, like, so you have proximity to them. You're thinking about them. They're there within you.
Yeah.
But if you're not acting on the things that need to be done to maybe perhaps really have them unlocked in the real,
Yeah.
that you can maybe you can apply that there. Maybe
I
it's a
would
reach.
absolutely get, yes, of course. And it's no different for authors. Why do they write a book?
Mhm,
Podcast hosts like yourself. You want to
mhm,
impact 1 billion people worldwide. Okay, this is
mhm,
how you do it through your voice,
mhm,
teaching others, being
mhm,
on stages. And so there's purpose there. You're investing time. It takes a long time to be
mhm,
an author and write that book. It takes a long time to record these
mhm.
podcasts and source and edit and post and share. There's a lot of time, but there's purpose.
Yeah, there
There's
is
purpose
purpose.
as
Yeah,
to why you do it.
yeah. And I think as we start to wrap up and close up, we definitely have to end with a call to action. So let's think about that one. But I'm also gonna say like um one thing I and we could actually this could be its own podcast. But I think another thing too is um if you are ever feeling complacent about anything in life, right? Like I think that that's what you can
Mm.
that's probably something that you can actually start to think about. Like I'm maybe I'm close to things that are like I'm going to parties, so the proximity is that the party, but you
Yes.
just have to start asking yourself, did this give me life or did it just suck energy out of
Uh,
me? And I went because I'm familiar with the people.
Yes.
So is it life-giving or is it familiar? I think that that's where we can really settle into that because you there was proximity to something, and I think it's about feeling. It's about then asking you doing that mental work, right? To
Yeah.
say, like that inventory list, saying, did this edify me? Did it grow
Yeah.
me? Did it bring me
Yeah.
peace? Did I add like did it pull out value from me? Like, you know what I mean? Or did it just feel familiar, and did I just do it because maybe I was afraid of missing out on something, or I was like, "Huh, I didn't want anyone to, like, wonder why I wasn't there," you know what I mean? But anything, that's contrary to that, might be a good way to apply that concept as well.
Yeah, I would agree. So, for those that are watching or listening, take a look at your life. Take a look at your workplace, your relationships, how you spend your time, how do you show up for yourself and others? And then ask yourself, is this proximity serving my purpose?
I love it.
Me
And
too.
then you make a shift from just being present to being intentional. Yeah.
Love it.
One person that does that so well is Oprah, right? Like
Oh,
I remember
yeah.
when she talked about the intention of her shows and stuff like that. It made me even show up differently
Yeah.
to how I showed up to her shows, knowing that there was something that I should be getting from there, right? And so we weren't just created to just float around in life, right? Or float around, right? To float around the purpose of our lives, and we're actually really born to be truly empowered in it and to walk boldly with confidence and be convicted by the presence that we have on this earth and know that everything that we do and the proximity of others to us drives meaningful purpose in this world.
Ah, love, love,
Was
love it. One
that?
of the things I love about this podcast is that we keep it short and sweet.
That's right. And this is where I say I'm Ink
I'm Gabby with one B.
and we're out. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.